Good morning, everybody. This is Professor King here, and I'd like to explain to you today about how Bob Lazar predicted element 115, and it has to do with this Scientific American article, May 1989. I had a subscription, and it was always mailed to me a month ahead of time. So if Bob had the same subscription as I did, I'm sure he got it delivered to his house a month ahead of time. Now that would be April. He came out in May discussing this with the KLAS newscaster, George Knapp. So it made him sound like he's a super scientist and wow, isn't he spectacular and predicting the element one. But no, I'll show you why. I'm kind of hoping you can hear me and my voice isn't too garbly. And also, I hope that it's not blurry, this page, so you can read it. I'll scan it all the way down so you can pause it and read it at your leisure. What I wanted to hit on today is this little area right up here in the corner where we're talking about element 107, 108, and 109. These nuclei lie beyond the 106 proton threshold that mark the limits of previous techniques for creating and identifying heavy elements. What are we talking about? Well, in the tables here, we have 106 as that limit they were talking about. Seaborgium, named after Glenn Seaborg, the person that discovered plutonium. But these were the elements they were having trouble with: 107, 108, 109, and 110, darmstadtium. That's where they did the heavy ion research to bombard these nuclei to make them stable. It's named after Niels Bohr and Lise Meitner. I don't know about this one. I'll figure it out later. Anyway, here's a plot chart. It all scans so you can read that. Here, I made it a little bit easier, a little bit bigger, bolder print so you could read this along with me. The black lines, are going to show these black lines here, they distinguish nuclei with numbers of protons and neutrons. There's a number of protons and neutrons in there that contribute to extra stability. And also here, the shell effects peak in the vicinity of lead in the lower left. It says 95 and 90, 85, I guess this would be 85 right in here, or I don't know. What is lead? Lead is 82. So I don't know. I think they're talking about right around in this area would be lead, and this is where it peaks. Anyway. And here you have the elements 100, 105, 110, and 115. As you can see, if you follow the line over, right here. But they use 114 as an example. So if it's bombarded, like Bob Lazars says, they bombard the nucleus with protons, and it increases in atomic weight. And as it increases, it stabilizes in this isle of stability right here. You can see it building up, getting more and more stable as it reaches the element 116, which he says it disintegrates immediately and releases antimatter. I don't know about that, but anyway, if you keep bombarding it with more, with more protons, then it actually destabilizes again. And it takes 6.8 MeV, millions of electron volts, to achieve this process. All right, here's another illustration I'd like to show you. What happens here when it's the element 107 is bombarded and it splits off helium nucleus here. Here's a second, 165 milliseconds. This is what happens in 1.2 seconds. It turns into lawrencium. It splits off and turns into mendelevium. And then from that, fermium, and then californium. And over here, element 108, it actually splits on down to nobelium. And 109 will end up as 104, I think 104 is rutherfordium. Yes, rutherfordium. So you can read this in the bottom here at your leisure and find out more information. Now, when Bob was talking about he has degrees in this and degrees, and he's probably got a AAS in electronics. Yes, that's a degree. He's get that from his junior college. But I don't think people meant that it was degrees like, master's degrees or anything like that. So he is a scientist, and he does seem to know what he's talking about. Shit, he put a jet engine in his wife's Honda. I mean, you got to be pretty smart to be doing stuff like that, right? So it's not to disparage Bob, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy or he's a scamster or anything like that. No. But I thought you might be interested in finding out about this element 115. All right. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. And subscribe if you don't mind.